Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are recording in progress. Thank you to that girl who is not Siri. My name is Gary. I go by Gary the Expert. And in this episode, I'm going to share with you something that will hopefully help you very much on your journey around addiction. If it's addiction to medication, if it's addiction to some sort of gambling, or if it's addiction to some sort of porn, or if it's addiction to some sort of drug, all of these, or even alcohol, variety, and all of these are, in my eyes, I would say, related to a couple of things. One of them being dopamine. They all give you a sense of dopamine. Dopamine is an interesting conversation point that we will touch on today, and how it's tricking you. And that's a crucial thing. This episode and the next episode is going to be dedicated to your understanding and help you understand a bit more about addiction. Which, if you're in addiction, again, there's an element of buying into a belief that's a better belief to have. For example, if you're religious, I honestly would say it's better to believe in life that there's an afterlife rather than there's no afterlife. I think you'll be feeling happier as you get older. I think you'll be feeling more joyous. Maybe you want to live longer, or maybe you want to live younger. I'm not sure, but I think it's a better belief to have that it's an afterlife. Again, we don't know it's true, but that would be a better belief to choose. In my personal opinion. So for this, I'm going to share with you something that is uh, maybe a foreign idea. Maybe your mind says no, but I want to give you a better belief. And I'm grateful that I'm happy to accept better beliefs. I'm happy to take in better ideas, for sure. I'm adaptable like that. Right? And that's maybe a mindset you need to have for your recovery. As I was a drug addict, I was addicted to cocaine. I would take it every single day of my life for a period of time. I'm grateful that I stopped. The story I would give you is how dopamine is tricking you. But before I do that, of course, I'm going to tell you about the sponsor of the podcast. One is quasi.com and upskillonline.org. You can find those in the description of this podcast. If you want to book in a session with me as well, you can also go to my website, which is garytheexpert.com. You'll find out various tools, informations, blogs on there, and you'll get great content. Why not book in or schedule a call if you feel like you need some help? I'll be glad to impact you in a positive way. My intention or belief for me, at least for any client that I come into, is I need to give these I need to get a 5-star, amazing, fantastic review. Now, what needs to happen between now and then? I need to do that work. Yeah. Along with yourself, you need to do that work. And right now, I'm going to give you a bit of a snippet that could be in one of our sessions if we had a session together. So, dopamine is what your body's craving. And you go take this drug, it's porn, it's cocaine, if it's gambling, your body's craving this feeling, this power, this strength. And it's going to be calling your name the next time. So, if we think of a graph, I'm going to share my screen here, which again, if you're on Spotify, try get onto YouTube. You might be able to see this. Well, you will be able to see. You won't be able to see it on on Spotify, but you'll be able to hear me out, and hopefully you can hear me very good. Okay, and this is like one of the first times I've ever used this whiteboard on Zoom. Jesus Christ, I've got a mouse and all. This is embarrassing. I'm trying to draw an L graph, and it's not an L graph at all. So I want you to think of like dopamine level. Think of an L graph, and think of on the left side of an L graph is DL, dopamine levels. You've got dopamine levels, I've got dopamine levels. And on this L graph, we can go from a score of, let's say, you know, if we get really if we get really scientific, there's certain ranges that your dopamine should be in. But to keep it simple, I'm going to keep it in a 1 to 10 scale, right? So on the 1 to 10 scale of your dopamine, average person's around a 5, okay? An average person's dopamine would be, the dopamine levels would be around a 5. And for an event, they sometimes go up if they have a good event. Sometimes they have bad, lower dopamine. If they have a bad event, they go up. If they have a good event, they have a bad. So they're kind of fluctuating throughout the time and throughout the events that go on in their life. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you should be getting great insight. You should be able to crystal clear see what I'm talking about. If you're on Spotify, there's an L graph on the left side, dopamine levels, scale of 1 to 10. Average person has around 5 level, we would say. At the bottom, we have events / time. And across your timelines, we'd have events of, having a kid. We'd have events of going to the shop. We'd have events of selling something, buying something. We'd have all events in the world. And we'd go from up and down, down and up. And that includes negative events, someone passing away, or good events again, winning the lottery. Now, see, the thing is, we could be kind of capped on our dopamine, which is like good and bad. I mean, we can also literally extend over this with quote unquote extreme events, but I want to show you how cocaine or your addiction is tricking you. Cocaine, your drugs, your medication, your medication addiction, your cocaine addiction, your drug addiction, should I say, or your alcohol addiction, or your porn or sex addiction is tricking you, and it's tricking you beautifully. And this insight has helped me a lot with scrolling, right? Because now I understand that my mind is being completely tricked. And when I talked about beliefs earlier, when I fully understand that my mind is being tricked right now, I can easily step away from that, because I am just going, hey, I'm getting tricked right now, regardless of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I want to keep doing this, I want to keep going. I need to have that strong, stern voice in my mind that goes, no, you are fully being tricked right now. We need to get out of this. That has helped me a lot with quote unquote scrolling. It's not like it's a massive issue for myself, but of course, I think it's an issue to every single person. And I can't even believe the CEOs of these companies are promoting, posting, and they even use their own product in that regard. And I would love to know if they do use their product. So what I'm saying here with the dopamine levels, we might be capped at like a 7. We might hit a bottom, a rock bottom at a 3 of dopamine levels. I think if you're at a 1 dopamine, you're dead. And if you're at a 10 dopamine, you're dead. But what happens if we win the lottery, right? We go up to a 7. If we win the lottery, we go up to a 7. We have a kid, we go up to a 7. We go up to this high levels of dopamine. We have great sex. It goes up to a high level of dopamine. This is fantastic. Now, maybe the scales are a little bit off here, but if we go take a drug literally trebles the amount of dopamine that we would naturally or normally have from an amazing event, like having a kid or winning the lottery. These are fantastic, amazing events. Winning the lottery, having a kid. These are massive events. These are ginormous, beautiful things. But when we take cocaine, for example, we will skyrocket treble, double, treble, what those levels are. Now, it will not feel incredibly different. It will not be like, well, this cocaine is 100 million times, 100 trillion. It's not even 3 times better. We won't even feel 3 times better, but that's what's gone into the system. And the brain and the body is now tricked. It's tricked into this. So therefore, you're not your conscious mind. Take away what you're listening to me with. Your body now. Your body wants this 3x feeling. You consciously can't even express this 3 times feeling. You can't even feel what's going on. I've taken cocaine, I've taken drugs. I understand the feeling. But your body is almost like it's reacting to a 3x that feeling. Your body is literally craving this feeling that you aren't even consciously feeling. Yeah. So when we take a drug or an addiction to porn, to alcohol, we even take some sort of codeine. I'm not sure about codeine. I know porn. I know gambling. I know porn, gambling, alcohol, and then also drugs. That addictions right there, you skyrocket the dopamine inside your body. That is unbelievable. When you're scrolling, you might hit a higher level of dopamine where your body is now craving for that thing again. That's why we go back to it. You got to realize that you are, if we look at the graph here, our dopamine levels are spiking when we take a drug. Spiking. And we can have a good down low, right? But it's spiking when we're taking these drugs, and we aren't even aware. All right. I'm gonna close the whiteboard and be back here with you. Possibly could have closed the whiteboard a moment ago as I'm about to wrap up this episode. I want you to be very, very aware. You are being ultimately tricked. Your body is craving you. Now, I say tricked, and you might have a professional out there going, how dare you say you're being tricked? It's a lot of simple terms, easy for me to understand, easy for people to hear me out. You are being tricked by your body's cravings. Yeah. And your mind will play all of the games in the world. Your body will play all of the games in the world to get you back to that feeling, which is not going to hit. It's not going to hit. If you have an addiction for 5, 10, 15, 20 plus years, literally 5 years, 10 years, you are slowly reducing your gray matter. What is gray matter? It's your thinking, aka how fast and slow you're thinking. It's your decision making. It's your rationales for things. You are reducing the amount of gray matter you have. You are becoming slower. You're making poorer decisions. And the longer you are addicted, you're just ruining your current situation, your current life. You're going to make worse decisions as it goes on, and you're going to feel worse, and you're going to feel worse. It is critical that you stop your addiction. Go get help ASAP if you are addicted to something. I believe personally you can have positive addictions, but maybe you don't have one. And I'm not talking about in this episode about positive addictions. I hope that if you're struggling, you will go and receive help that you need. I've been an addict. I've helped many addicts. This isn't you seek out help. There is help out there. Go get help. I'm going to wrap this episode up. I'm going to love you and leave you. I want you to feel fantastic on yourself naturally, normally, not synthetically. Have a beautiful, blessed day. It's a pleasure to see you. I'll see you in the next episode for an example. Positive dopamine and negative dopamine. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you then. Check out the sponsors and also check out my website, Gary the Expert. Feel free to book in a call with me. I don't think you'll regret it if you're struggling. See you then. Bye-bye.